So we are at the barn. We are all saddled up and ready to go. It is like 20 degrees Celsius, I think. And for some reason it's feeling very hot already. And I feel like he's like in the sleepy mode. So we'll see how this ride goes. I did reach out to you guys on YouTube to ask, what do you want to see? What do you want to see? And a lot of you, I think as of right now, 64% of you wanted like training advice videos. I will just say, I'm not a horse trainer. I'm very much piecing this puzzle together as I go. That being said, I can share with you what I'm currently doing, what's working, what's not, what may not work in the future, we'll see. But yeah, if you watched last week's video, you will know that we are back to tinkering with barrels, which means we are doing all of the barrel drills. Right now, I'm sticking to the last few days I've been doing a 2-barrel drill, which I've really been liking. The way I approach the pattern is I don't throw the entire pattern at a horse right away. I start with 1 barrel, just getting the perfect circle around a single barrel. And then I really like to do a lot of stuff with 2-barrel, where we're doing like a figure 8 kind of pattern. And then as the ride progresses, if we end on a good note with that, maybe we'll move on to something else. So that's likely what we're gonna do today. So we're gonna head up to the arena. We do a very, very chill warm up of just walking long and low, me not making any contact with his mouth, just getting our blood pumping a little bit, and then we can start rocking and rolling. So let's head up to the arena. So we are out in the arena and ready to go for a ride. The ground hasn't been ideal lately. It definitely needs to be worked. It got rained on and now it's just kind of been baking in the sun. So the ground is definitely a bit on the harder side, but it's still completely safe to ride my horse and do the things that I want to do with him in here. As I mentioned when we were in the barn, I like to start my rides super chill. So we start off with at least 5 minutes of walking. I don't touch his mouth a whole lot during this initial part of our ride. I just like to get the muscles warmed up before we move into the higher gaits. And then from there, I usually move into some walk, trot, walk transitions. Diesel is very much push style horse. He doesn't have a whole lot of get up and go most days, and I have found that doing transitions, so constantly changing from one gait to the next, helps to bring up his energy a bit. In most, if not all of our rides, I find we have a bit of a phase at the start of each ride where we kind of have to work some kinks out. I have to get him warmed up. We kind of have to get into the groove of things together. And then by the time the 15-20 minute mark hits, we're usually in a good spot where we can really start working on some things. But definitely transitions is something I've really been working on. And once we've done some walk, trot, walk transitions, we can move into trot, lope, trot transitions. And again, I find this is a really good way to wake him up. He starts to anticipate the upward transition, which for a horse like him, I would rather him do that because his default is kind of to anticipate the downward transitions and want to, go slower or stop. So if I get him to a point where I am having him anticipate going faster, then that's what I want. And that's very much individual, horse by horse. There's some horses, especially if you have a high-tuned barrel horse, you may not want them anticipating those upward transitions. You would want the opposite. But because Diesel is so quiet, we want to kind of get him amped up a little bit. As I also mentioned at the barn, I've been doing a lot of this just random stuff really with 2 barrels. I haven't ran him through the full pattern at all this year. And this past week, we've been doing a lot of work with 2 barrels set up in the arena. So I will, from time to time, do some just doing perfect circles around one of the barrels, or I'll do a figure 8. I never ask him for flying changes in between. I'm always breaking down into a trot.
my focus right now is very much so on perfecting all of this stuff at the lower gates. We do have a long ways to go with that, and I think possibly changing bits is going to help me with that. Right now I'm just working in a regular snaffle, but I think potentially changing bits is going to help us. But either way, we're working on very much trying to perfect circles, getting that inside hind up underneath. I feel like a lot of this ride he was a bit strung out, which I definitely need to work on that, because we always want him driving from behind so he can push up and out of those barrels. And I mean, it all comes with time. That it does require a lot of effort on his part too. It's an athletic maneuver, so just a lot of practicing the same things over and over again with the intent of perfection. We want, I think it was Martha Josie, she said, practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect.
So, not our greatest ride, I will say that. I feel like anytime I put up the camera with the intent of like demoing something, like showing you guys this is what I'm doing or whatever, and like I want my riding to be on point, that's when we have a bad ride. And that is what happened today. So, I should say it wasn't a bad ride. Get up, bud. It just wasn't as good as yesterday. We had a really good ride yesterday. I was hoping for the same again today, but no dice. So that's how it goes with horses. They keep you very, very humble. Okay? It was probably a couple weeks ago at this point. Anyways, the video was me basically in this position, brushing out my horse's tail. And I had just taken it out of a braid and was just gonna just brush it out and put it back in a braid. So because it had been in a braid for so long, there was lots of hair coming out, because like if any hair like naturally falls out, if it's in a braid, it's just gonna kind of sit there until like it's not as free moving as a tail like this, right? So when I started brushing, a ton of hair came out. I got so many freaking comments of people telling me I was destroying my horse's tail and that I was pulling out all his hair and all that stuff. No, guys. That's just hair that was already fallen out. But just as a reminder, use Show Sheen or some sort of detangler if you have it to make the hair a bit slipperier. And then always start at the bottom. I haven't been keeping his tail in a braid lately just because the bugs are so bad, and I don't think it's really fair for him to not have the full use of his tail to get those bugs, because obviously he can hit a lot more when it's like this as opposed to when it's in a braid. So yes, start at the bottom, be mindful of what you're pulling out. And I try to do it every day, brush it out, because the longer you leave it, that's just the more tangles that are going to be in there and the more potential hair that you're going to pull out. Okay, and lastly, before I let him out to graze, I'm going to spray him with bug spray. I mentioned this in my last video, but I didn't show you guys. So it's Absorbine Ultra Shield Green. I used this stuff last year too. It smells amazing because it has stuff like What does it smell like? I don't know. Mint? Or eucalyptus. I think maybe eucalyptus. It smells really good. And it appears to work well. So spray him with this and he can go back out and graze. So it is a couple of days later, and I will fully admit that ride was not great. We've all heard that horses are very, very sensitive animals, but I feel like you don't realize just how sensitive they are until you have a bad ride like I did the other day. You know, I don't know, I couldn't pinpoint exactly what was wrong with our ride. We were just feeling a little bit off, and we were just kind of not fighting against each other, but just not in tune with each other. And it just, yeah, ended up not being a great ride, not feeling the greatest. And I left the barn that day just feeling a little bit frustrated, to be honest with you. But then I realized it's me. As Taylor says, hi, I'm the problem, it's me. Diesel is incredibly sensitive, and when I bring things like frustration or overwhelm or whatever other negative emotion to the barn, he immediately picks up on that. And that's exactly what happened the other day. Horses are prey animals, and they have evolved to be able to detect very subtle cues, including cues that might be coming from you that you aren't even aware of, that you are giving your horse in times when you're in a bad mood. So when you walk into the barn, you swing a leg over them, they are going to pick up on that instantly because it is in their brain. They have evolved that way to be very, very aware of any sort of subtle change like that. Horses obviously don't understand our human problems. Like Diesel doesn't understand why I am upset or frustrated or grumpy or whatever else, right? But he does understand that, hey, something is up with her. She's feeling this way. This might impact my safety. And then he starts to get worried as well. And that's where the bad ride starts. He thinks there's something wrong, something's gonna happen, and he starts to worry too. So the other day was just a very, very in my face reminder that I need to check myself before I go see Diesel. And that's kind of what I'm doing today. I'm still kind of, some additional things happened in my personal life over the weekend, and I'm just kind of like, I need to take it down a level, do some deep breathing. Remember that I love being here at the barn. I should be excited to see my horse, get myself in a good spot emotionally, and then I can go see my horse. And to be honest with you, like I'm very much scheduled. Like it is, what, 4:45 right now. If I am at work all day, I leave at a certain time, I am in this barn at another certain time. I'm very, very regimented. But sometimes, to be honest, that just doesn't work. If I'm in a bad mood, or even if I'm just tired, there is a chance that it might actually be better for me to feed my horses, make sure they're okay, or maybe just do a grooming session rather than getting in the saddle, because if it's going to result in me and Diesel just kind of bunting heads in the arena, then is it worth it? Are we making any progress when we're doing rides like that? Probably not, actually. So it might be better, even though it seems like we're not making progress, it would at least prevent us from having bad rides that could potentially set us back. So yeah, just kind of a reminder that horses, they are very much a reflection of us. They very much pick up on what we are putting out there, and really it's not fair to them to have to carry that load. Like it's not fair to Diesel to have to be concerned about why I'm in such a sour mood. That's not fair to him. Junior was very good about just absorbing all of that. Diesel, not so much. So I need to keep that in mind going forward. And I don't know if I just need to do like a mindfulness moment or just listen to some really good music that's going to pump me up before my ride or whatever. Just do something that's going to help minimize those kind of rides in the future. So that is all I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't already, please be sure to follow me everywhere at Strong in the Saddle. And until next time, remember, it's always a good day to ride.